Yes, it's time for the big question in which we tackle a major news story of the day. Now, since 2019, the high street chemist Boots began stocking a range of sex toys, which you can find nestled between the cold cures and bunion plasters. Now, as more and more high street retailers stock the adult devices, we're asking, do you want to see sex toys on supermarket shelves? Joining me to discuss this is sexual wellness content creator Venus O'Hara and television commentator, reality star and all-round legend Narinder Kaur. Narinder, great to see you. Let me start with Venus O'Hara. Venus, the public don't want to see these devices when they're buying headache pills or tights.
Well, I disagree because an orgasm can cure headache. So the oldest excuse is now has been debunked. So I think it's actually a good thing. I can understand it's not everyone is on board with it. But interestingly, I live in Spain, and one day I was in a hardware store. I wanted to buy a bikini trimmer, and in the same aisle, I found sex toys, and I thought it was incredible. So I made a reel for Instagram. And to my surprise, lots of sex shops were actually horrified by it because they want to be the only places that stock these devices. But I think for me, not everyone feels comfortable buying a sex toy in a sex shop. And also buying it online can have another risk because they tend to be quite expensive. They're not cheap, especially the rechargeable ones. So I think it's a good thing to have them more available. And the one thing I have to point out is that when you see these devices, you might not really understand what they are because they don't look vulgar. The packaging is quite elegant, and they just look like they're very similar to a facial massages. There are other devices that look similar to sex toys that aren't sex toys, and so I don't think they look too scandalous.
Narinder Kaur, do you want to see sex toys on supermarket shelves?
Well, as a mother to a teenage daughter, no, I'm repulsed that they have sex toys where there are minors. And they do look repulsive. They're penis shaped. I think it's disgusting. Honestly, I was online on a famous fashion online website looking for clothes with my daughter. And there you had sex toys. I thought they were head massagers at first. And then I realized when I zoomed in, it was a penis shaped sex toy. I just think it's terrible to have that where there's minors. How can you justify that?
What do you think? How would you respond to that, Venus? Why can't we have a dedicated area in a shop or indeed special shops for these devices in case not only young people see them, but even pick one up?
Well, the thing is, when I was growing up, going to buy my sweets in the newsagent, they have all sorts of magazines, and a human form is much more recognizable than a plastic toy like this, which is just not so scandalous. If you look at that, I mean, people are not going to think it looks like a penis. Actually, most toys do not look like penises in this day and age. I have a spare room with 750 toys that I have accumulated in the last 10 years because this is my job. And I can tell you, I only have one or two veiny phalluses. Most of them look like beautiful objects. Like this looks like a paperweight, you know, so they just don't look like sex toys. And the image you've shown there's only two that are phallic. Some of them are round shapes and others are a kind of a shape that looks like an ear thermometer. So I don't think if someone picks it up and just say it's for a massage, you know, I think there are ways of talking about these things it could be age appropriate.
They're not age appropriate at all. They're not age appropriate. They're not age appropriate for minors. Yeah, I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and I think she wouldn't even know, and I wouldn't even, if she asked about that, it's not so much pressure, the whole sex thing and the whole, we must enjoy sex and sex must be great and you must have a great sex life. For teenagers, no, and children don't need to know about this. There's a place for this. I think online's great, special shops are great. And actually, back to your thing about supermarkets selling cheaper, you're just taking business away from the sex shops, actually, because supermarkets have a monopoly on everything. So, but more than anything, children don't need to have this pressure, especially teenage girls, that sex is everything.
Narinder, do you think that these devices, Venus, I'll come back to you in a moment, do you think these devices are bad for society?
I don't think they're bad for, well, they are if they're on display in supermarkets where there's children, yes, because they don't need that pressure. They're children, and there's children around that they're going to ask questions, and they do look phallic, and I know all of them don't, but I just don't think no, I think they are bad, yes. There's a pressure on sex constantly. This sex must be great, and you must have this sex toy. You don't. We don't need that pressure.
I'll let you come back to that. Venus, by the way, Venus, you've got 750 sex toys in your bedroom. I'm amazed you get anything done.
My spare room. My room is empty, but I had to get an apartment with two bedrooms and one for the actual sex toys. Just because it's like I have more toys than most shops, basically. So
do they ever wake you up?
Do they ever what?
Do they ever wake you up?
Oh, no, no, but there are sex toys that have alarms, by the way. So there are, if you want that, if you want to be woken up with a vibration, which might be nicer than a sound, then some people that option exists. But I think these objects are quite beautiful. I don't think people look at them and think, oh, what is that? And most of them are not penis shaped because most women do need external stimulation. So from something like this is going to work better than something that looks like a phallus. And I remember growing up and just seeing porn in newsagents, and that for me is much more shocking. Also for now, children are having access to lots of porn from a very young age, and I think that's where we should be focusing our attention on, the smartphones and the type of content that minors are having access to. I think that's much worse than an object like this, which is not so relatable, not as relatable as a human body.
Narinder,
I agree with that, but we don't need it in supermarkets.
Okay. Can I also ask you, Venus, what do you think about these devices in relation to husbands and wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, girlfriends, boyfriends? Surely it dilutes a relationship.
I think that's a common misconception, but the truth is that many women don't reach orgasm through intercourse. It's only 4%. Sorry?
I don't mean to brag, but I've been married a very long time and we've never needed a sex toy. But I think it's about variety.
I think it's about variety, and you can actually, it's really good to change it up. And most sexual encounters follow a formula, which is kiss, caress, undress, optional oral sex, penetration, male orgasm, over. And if you want to kind of spice it up a little bit, it's nice to use a toy from time to time. I remember when I had in my last relationship and I was testing male sex toys, I kind of enjoyed watching my partner indulge while I just sat back and took notes and just observed. I think it's, I don't think they are a rival to your real human partners, not at all. I think it's like, do you like pizza or chocolate cake? You can have them at different times, or maybe you want to have them together. I don't think it's one or the other. And I think that's a common misconception that I've heard over the years in my job. Like, why have you got that? Or female friends telling me, I have a boyfriend, I don't need that. Whereas I think I think masturbation is a very healthy thing, and that's my opinion, because that's what the industry I'm from. But I understand not everyone agrees with that. But I would challenge it. I think it's good to connect with your body and boost your self-esteem.
I don't think that's the question here, though. I think the question is, do children need to see in supermarkets? And in answer to that, no, they don't.
But I think a lot of children are not going to recognise what it is. And, children are seeing things from a very young age which are recognisable, like porn on their smartphones. And I think that's way worse. Or images, when I was growing up, going to sweets and seeing these magazines, which felt very kind of strange for me. I remember when I was staying at a friend's house when I was very, very young, and she showed me her dad's porn stash, this video of the 80s. And it was all, I was so shocked, but I can imagine what it must be like for children now being exposed to so much explicit material. I don't think a plastic toy is the same. I really don't. And I think talking about sexuality is a healthy thing. I think we should be talking about it with teenagers in a healthy way, and so that they know what to expect. Because, what they're expecting now is they're seeing porn, and then some people are maybe reflecting what they see on a smartphone, which is not how sex should be.
It is just added pressure. Sex toys are just added pressure. Everything is sex, sex, sex. Children don't need it shoved down their throats. Literally, we don't need that. As a parent, I'm not for this.
And on that strong visual image, ladies, look what I found in the GB News studio. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
You won't believe this, right? I actually found this
in...
Can I tell you, I found this in Dan Wootton's dressing room. Okay. He's back on Monday. No spin, no bias, no censorship. It's a hairbrush.
Oh,
I've disappointed you.
There are toys that are controlled by distance now. You can control toys through an app, and that's something that's kind of become quite popular since lockdown. So there's many ways to actually interact now. That's why sex toys are not a rival relationship.
There you go.
So
I'm going to buy one of these devices.
Tonight. So
listen, how can people find out more about what you do, Venus, before you go?
My Instagram is @VenusO'Hara and my website is venusohara.org.
Loved our conversation. Venus, fascinating stuff. Thanks for joining us. The brilliant Narinder Kaur as well. Loved our chat. You can borrow my brush anytime you like. Lots more to get through before 11 o'clock. You know the golden rule of this show. We don't do boring, not on my watch. I just won't have it. What do you think of the barnet? I think I look smart for the first time ever. On a poll on Twitter, we asked you, the great British public, should supermarkets be selling sex toys? Just over 78% say no, 22% say yes.